welcome. I'm Erin with Full Circle Florals, and I have a guest videographer today behind the camera. And her question was, or she came over and said, "I want to see what you're doing here because I don't know what you're doing. What are you doing?" So what I'm doing is I'm collecting some. These are my spent blooms. These have aged down to where nobody's going to pick that for a vase anymore. But I'm picking these mostly because when you pull off these little petals here, that stuff at the end, here it might be easier to have it with the background there. Those little diamond shapes, those little arrowheads, that's the seed. So the first question is like, why am I doing this? Well, I'm doing that because of that. With the deadheading, there's no place in particular that you have to cut it, but if I'm going to cut it, I'm going to cut it at the lowest juncture that I can possibly find before the last cut was made. So if you look real deep into this guy here, there's these two buds pushed out these two stems. So I'm going to clip this right here because those have already kind of done the job that they were going to do. And then I can just use this one as seeds. This is seeds. But some of them have already been cut, like, where's a good example? Well, here's a good example. So someone cut this here, which is actually a pretty accurate place to cut. I might have gone a little bit closer to this junction because then you're going to have these two nodes right here are going to activate and say, oh, we should make stems. And then those stems are going to grow from that. And then what that ends up looking like is, let's see, here is a good example. Somebody cut here and it made a stem and a stem. And somebody harvested here, this will push a stem and a stem. So if I were to harvest this guy here, which I could, but I'm not going to because it's going to grow much bigger, I would cut it right here. And that's going to give you your maximum stem length for the flower that exists there. So those are two of the main questions. So two of the last questions that we'll ask, or that have been asked that we're going to answer, is why would you save the seed? And so for me, it's with zinnias. That's a hard question to answer because there's lots of facets. So it's economical. One of these plants might produce enough seed that would be in an entire seed packet that you'd purchase from somebody. So if you really love the zinnia here, you just harvest all of its seeds and you grow its babies. Problem with that being there's a caveat. The biggest caveat is for every single petal, it's fertilized by a different fertilizer or pollinator. So each one of these petals can actually make a flower that's different than this one looks. That's the problem with seed collecting. And so Erin over at Floret, she's the one that's doing amazing work with zinnia breeding. And Dawn Creek, that's part of who she's has some of their stuff that she has bred on. Those really hard-working breeders are having to do some crazy things to isolate individual blooms to make sure that you don't get these like wacky combinations. And then you grow them out for several years, making sure that each one of them is coming back true to form. So there's like a ton of dedication that goes into it. So when people ask, or when I talk about having bought these Floret seeds to the tune of like $10 to $12 a packet, they're like, why would you do that when you have a flower farm like this? Because I love them. First of all, I want to support Erin's work because I love the stuff that she's putting out. Her Dawn Creek ones were beautiful. Her unicorns have been gorgeous. I know that there has been a range on germination rate, meaning like what you planted and what actually came up. But I had great luck. I mean, you can see there's no shortage of zinnias out here. So I think it kind of just depends. These guys did really great. All of these, you would laugh. You would have laughed. I should have recorded it. I just had a bucket and I just went by and just drizzled the seeds. So I save seed because I'm a seed drizzler, and then you end up with these massive plantings like this. But I think they look gorgeous and great, and I'm happiest with these zinnias than anything else in the farm currently, and they're such power horses. So the last bit, that's kind of a half answer for that because there is more to it, but those are the primary ones. But the last question being, where would I harvest a particular one to go in a vase? So it's kind of the same answer as the deadheading. I'm going to go way back here. It's going to be kind of hard to see, but way back here, somebody cut it right here once upon a time. So I'm going to go back up to, you can go 1 or 2 nodes. I might go 2 nodes just because the bottom of these is starting to look a little funky, and you cut it right there. And then I always tell people, strip it off, and then you throw your garden glitter, right? There goes your garden glitter. and then I'm taking this, and this is going right into a bouquet. So I love that. I'm really appreciative of my guest photographer for having some questions that I can answer. I love to talk about these, especially zinnias. The one last thing I will say, I know I only said I answered 2 questions, but this is something that I thought of that I think is really important, and I've mentioned it several other times. But I planted all kinds of different varieties in this strip, hoping that they would cross with each other and make new stuff. So like this here, some of these are on the same plant. They look completely different from each other. So this one has a lot of hot pink in the center with that gorgeous orange. This one is hot pink that goes to orange and yellow, just because I think it's a little older. This one the same thing. This one is almost all coral, but when you flip these, they're pinkish underneath. So these are all mixing with each other and making these different varieties all the way through here. This is one of my favorite patches, because you have everything from this almost like a zowie type of look to things like this one. This is more classic zowie look with the yellow tips and then the orange to pink, to the mazurkia, which is the white tip. This isn't classic mazurkia. This is some wonky mix. This is closer to a classic mazurkia. But everyone, they're getting these because they're taking the time to let them cross and then taking them individually and doing their thing with them. So I just think they're really amazing. So that is all for today. Thank you for watching, and watch us grow.